So it's finally time for me to introduce a game I'll be running here very soon. I've been promising December would be the month, and it's pretty late into December now on the 21st, but late is better than never. So what we have here is Black Crusade Broken Chains, and this is a introduction to the Black Crusade. And what it is a little booklet they put out, and it has everything you need to begin playing the game, including pre-made characters, the basic rules, and a scenario to play the game. And it's a great introduction to role-playing in general, and also, of course, to the Black Crusade, because of how short it is, and how good the storyline is, and how easy it is to get into. And it also goes hand in hand with me a little bit, because I feel like I have broken my chains in a way where I don't need to get into too much about me personally right now, but I don't need to listen to anyone. I don't need to beg anyone for money. I don't have to work for anyone. I don't have to listen to anyone. And that's kind of goes hand in hand. The reason I talk a little bit about that is it goes hand in hand with these people we see here. And a little bit about the story about them is they are part of, or they were part of the Imperium, which is, imagine a government that is so large and so bureaucratic that it encompasses a large portion of the galaxy, and you can imagine all the problems and all the drama and all the dilemmas that come with that. Well, these folks have turned to the gods of chaos to break those chains of their system, of their government, of their humanity. So that's why it's called Broken Chains. Thankfully, I did not need to pledge myself to any gods of chaos to do it, but the similarities are there. So anyways, let's begin taking a look at this booklet here. First off, we have the credit page. Second off, we have a little bit of introduction, kind of talking what I just talked about a little bit. I'm going to read it off here once I get it in focus. There we go. So it says, "It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 centuries, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of gods, and master of a million worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, withering invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die. Yet in his deathless state, the Emperor continues his eternal vigilance. Mighty battle fleets across the demon-infested miasma of the warp, the only route between distant stars, their way lit by the Astronomicon, the psychic that word of the Emperor's will. Vast armies give battle in his name on uncounted worlds, but for all their multitudes, they are barely enough to hold off the ever-present threat of aliens, heretics, mutants, and worse. To be a man in such times is to be one amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. Yet you are not just any individual, you are a heretic, a follower of forbidden gods, a dangerous school of thought, cast out by the rulers of Imperium and their cursed corpse god, for the calling you have chosen. And yet both glory and revenge can be yours as you tread the path to greatness and take your place among the champions of the dark gods themselves." So there you have it. That's pretty much what I said at the beginning. You have a government that is terribly repressive, and everyone's got to be in line. Everyone's got to be in order, or else they're going to break your back and put you in place. And playing in this game, you're going to play as a heretic, as essentially an evildoer. Of course, you always got to look at evil as a perspective thing. These people see as a path to freedom. And in 40K, I'll tell you the secret, which is no secret. It's one of the first things you learn about 40K, is there is no good guys. Pretty much everyone, you could say everyone's bad. Or everyone's good. I mean, it's just, there's not that axis of good and evil like you see in a lot of fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, like Star Wars, For example, like the rebellion's pretty much the good guys in Star Wars, right? They're fighting against the Empire, who are a bunch of crazy bureaucrats trying to take over the whole world or the whole galaxy and enslave people and kill them. And the rebels stand for freedom. Well, in 40K, you have bad people among bad people, really. But it could be argued that the Imperium or the government is as good as it gets for humanity in the 41st Imperium. Anyways, continuing on, hopefully I could read all the words. Manifestation. There we go. Anyways, it says, what is Black Crusade? Black Crusade is a role-playing game in which you take on the role of a renegade from the Imperium, a follower of the Dark Gods, or master of forbidden powers. In your thirst for power, revenge, or carnage, you have chosen to walk the path to glory, beseeching the powers of chaos for their favor, so that you might rise up among those around you and become one of their favored few. It is, however, a path that is fraught with peril, and for every mortal that rises high enough to bask in the light of the gods, a million more die screaming, their flesh twisted and their minds broken by the cruel malevolence and pitiless indifference of the very powers they hope to consort with. The gods in their fickle ways are far from the only danger a heretic must contend with, and as outcast from the Imperium, much of humanity counts itself as your foe. The Inquisition is especially relentless in its hunt for heretics across the Imperium's countless worlds and beyond, and as long as the heretic draws breath, he will never be free of these most hated agents of the God Emperor. Despite these perils, for those who can survive long enough, glory and power awaits, and the chance to live free from the shadows of the Imperium. So we have a little bit more. It talks about the Chaos Gods and how they are really unforgiving and all-powerful and really savage. And like it says in there, for every one mortal that makes it, essentially becomes a demon prince, which is the ultimate gift of the Chaos Gods, which is immortality, becoming a demon and living on forever, but you still have an agonizing life. So it's like a gift and a curse, just like with everything with the Chaos Gods. But for every one of those, you have a million people who don't make it, and they die and their souls are condemned, or maybe we'll talk about later on, they get turned into a chaos abomination, and that's even worse. So pretty much in this game, your chances are slim. They're really slim, but you've went all in, essentially. What it's telling you, you went all in, and it's do or die, and you're going to be willing to do anything that you got to do to make your path and to show favor to your God. And I think that's all I guess I'll finish off reading this page. Pre-generated characters. The following sample characters have been specifically designed for the Broken Chains preview adventure that begins on page 16 of this booklet. 4 different characters are provided, although this adventure can accommodate larger player groups by adding additional chosen or renegade characters. Alright, I'm going to keep it to 4 players. So on these next pages, you're going to see the 4 options. And so if you want to play this game, you're going to be one of 4 players, and you guys got to pick. And you cannot have any duplicates. Each character is unique. Here you have the first one, Aristol the Fated. He is a Chaos Space Marine known for his martial pride and honor. So, you have your typical Chaos Space Marine, very powerful, strong armor. And the second option is Miss Nina Black, who is a regular human, so not a space marine, but a regular human. But you can see there she's got a chain sword and a bolter. It looks like we have a second Space Marine option. Circe, who is an Alpha Legion warrior. Alpha Legion is the 20th out of the 20 Space Marine chapters. Very mysterious chapter. Very little is known about them. You see there on his chest, his symbol is a Hydra. And the reason behind that is you cut off a head, but another head's going to come take its place, so you never know what to do against it. And you see there he looks like a heavy weapon specialist. And last, but maybe least, maybe not least, who knows, you have Hemastius Boar, who is a heretic. So essentially, these guys are originally tech priests, which are a cult of people who come from Mars. In this universe, Mars was populated quite a while ago. And they're pretty much the people behind all the technology and all the information and knowledge in the galaxy. And this is obviously a heretic version of one. So when you're not a heretic and you're a tech priest, there's very specific rules that you have to follow and certain things you don't do because it's forbidden. And when you cross the line and become a heretic, all those rules go away and you do whatever you want to do. And you see there he has some flesh mutations. You see there's like weird tentacle things coming off of his chest, or I guess his rib cage really. So that's kind of going to be your specialist character. So we can go more into those later, but try to keep this video relatively short. So I'll probably make a separate video for each one of those characters. But really briefly, I'm not going to teach the rules in this video. I'm just going to go over them just to show you how simple and how few pages. Right now we're on page 8, and we're going to stop this on page 15. It starts the scenario, and I'm not going to go into that obviously because I don't want to spoil the scenario. So I'm going to stop after. So we're almost done. We're almost done really. So the rules just started. It talks about your basic characteristics. Weapon skill, which is how good you are at shooting, essentially. Oh, sorry. Weapon skill is how good you are in melee combat, like using a sword or an axe. Ballistic skill is how good you are at shooting. Strength is self-explanatory. Toughness, kind of self-explanatory, but goes into your like if you play D&D, it's going to be your fortitude. Similar thing. Agility, reflexes, intelligence, reason, education, general knowledge, perception, your senses, willpower. That's how strong your mind is, how in control you are of yourself. So like the more horrible stuff you could deal with, the stronger your will is. Fellowship is kind of like charisma. It says infamy, we're not going to cover here. So there you have it. Those are the basic stats in which your character is judged. So the whole game kind of goes around those stats. And it goes on to explain your skills a little bit. And you see each skill has a corresponding characteristic. So athletics is your strength. Awareness is your perception. Charm is your fellowship. So it all kind of goes as you'd expect. But these are all the skills. And this is kind of how the game breaks down how you interact with the game universe using these skills. The last ones are here. Stealth and Techius. Now, underneath here is a test. And I actually really am a big fan of this system. I'm a really big fan of the system. It's actually a lot easier and a lot more manageable than any Dungeons and Dragons system really out there. It's really simple. It uses 100-sided dice, which is really 2 dice, 2d10s. Be right back 1 second. Let me go grab the dice. I can actually show you. So you're going to use these 2 dice. They're both 10-sided dice. You can see they're numbered a little bit differently. One of them has numbers in the teens. I guess you call it the teens. Starting with 0, 0. And going on to 0, 9, wherever it is. Another one starts with 0 and goes to 9. And 100 is 000. That's your 100 right there. Anyway, so all this game, you just really, for most things, you roll in these 2 dice. So that right there would be 86. And so the way it works is you want to roll higher. Higher is better. And depending on what you want to do, it's the game's gonna tell you, or tell me rather, not tell you directly, but it's gonna tell me what number that you need to roll to pass a test, and then different characteristics could change the value, and you might have other different modifiers in it. But the bottom line I'm trying to get at is all you gotta do is roll these 2 dice, and you want to roll high. Like that, 97. That's a very, very good right there. Very good roll. And you want to roll high. So that's all I really need to explain right now for tests. And actually, it looks like it does go into infamy a little bit, but we're not going to go over that right now. Talk about the combat order. Combat actions. And you see here it breaks it down into a nice chart where you have everything laid out. And then these are some of the actions you could take in combat: aim, all-out attack, charge, evasion. Full auto burst, move, reload, run. Semi auto burst, standard attack, use a skill. And those are kind of the skills that I showed you at the beginning of this book. You have other actions. Talk about weapon qualities here at the bottom. Certain weapons will be more accurate than other ones. So they're talking about blast. Some weapons affect a wider range, an area like a grenade or a rocket. And then it talks about how to actually make an attack roll. which is actually really similar to what I already explained with the 100-sided dice. So that's all. I'll go over in this video. That's a brief introduction to Broken Chains. Like I said, the rest of the book goes over the scenario, and I don't want to go over that, of course, because we don't want to spoil anything. Right here, free, not for resale. Well, I bought this book, so come and arrest me, FBI. I bought this book. Anyways, I guess I could read out. Well, we got this cool picture right here. I guess I could go over. What you see right here. This right here is the warp, which is a parallel dimension where the demons live, where magic comes from, and all the ships, including those of the Imperium, they use the warp to travel. So here you see a ship coming out of the warp and emerging into our dimension, reality, our reality, the material universe. And it's beautiful. You can see the planet in the background, and also a planet in the foreground, or maybe that's a moon. I don't know, but you can also see some stars. That's a really cool picture. I guess in conclusion, I could read the back of this here. Claim your destiny with the power of the dark gods. Broken Chains is the introductory adventure for the Black Crusade role-playing game. For centuries, the starship Chains of Judgment served the Inquisition of the Imperium, transporting the most dangerous renegades to their doom. Now, however, the Chains of Judgment is lost in the warp. The imprisoned renegades have one chance to escape their fate and take the first steps towards leading a Black Crusade. So there you go. I'm glad I read that. There's a little introduction to the scenario. So if you want to play this, leave a comment below. Or I'm also going to be posting this video on various sources. So I'm sure we'll have players. And I'll be going more into the rules. I'll explain everything we need to learn. I understand I didn't explain everything here, but I just made this video for a brief introduction to the game I'll be hosting. One of the games I'll be hosting. Something else I should have mentioned is you don't need any experience. I'll teach this game from beginning to end, and I'll do more videos, and I'll explain everything. This is, once again, just a brief introduction to put out there to see if people are interested in playing this game. So either comment below here on YouTube, or if you run into the video on another platform, of course, go ahead and communicate there. Preferably, I would like to host this game for groups of 4 people who already know each other. So it's like you guys create the group. So if you want to play this game and you have 3 friends that you might be interested, go ahead and talk to them and try to get a group together. But that being said, depending on how many people I have wanting to play, I'll try to put together some groups myself. If we have, like a straggler of 1 person or 2 people or 3 people or whatever the combination, try to put together a group. But it's really easier for me and the players too if you guys come as a group of 4 people. So anyways, there you have it. Broken Chains, introduction to Black Crusade. If you want to play it, let me know, and we'll get this going very soon. We can get this going very soon. I'll also be showing some more games this month because I promised gameplay this month, and it's going to happen. So thank you for listening, and I hope to see you playing, and I hope to see your character on his Black Crusade. We'll see what happens. Have a great day.